Liverpool and Manchester United managers Jurgen Klopp and Erik ten Hag have called for an end to tragedy chanting in a joint statement ahead of this afternoon's game. The kick-off is at 4:30. This is a powerful statement from both clubs and from both managers. Previous matches been marred by rival supporters chanting about the Munich air disaster, the Hillsborough tragedies. But Liverpool boss Klopp has told fans to keep the passion and lose the poison. Ten Hag also added it is unacceptable to use the loss of life in relation to any tragedy to score points, and it is time for all of this to stop. I'm so pleased that both managers and clubs have come together and said this. Let's hope that this message is heard and we're not talking about crowd disorder after the match. And joining us now to discuss the match is former Manchester United forward Danny Webber, who works with us in the media, often seen at United matches, and will be nervous for this one today. Good morning, Danny. How are you?
Morning, Shaban. Morning, Tony.
Danny, first up is, look, Man United, since the World Cup, have got the most points of any team. And they're clearly, their form has to be respected. And Liverpool are just not there. That, you know, the team that we loved, or certainly I loved the last season, who were superb, seem to be way off the pace. Although, like we say about derbies, this is a special day.
It's always a massive day, Tony. It really is. For both clubs, obviously, everybody's well aware of the rivalry and the history, and how deep it goes. And I think form every single time goes out the window. United have not been great over the last, however many years, especially at Anfield. I think we've probably scored once in our last 7 visits there, and that was back in 2018. So no matter how good we are at this moment in time, we always go to Anfield and respect the fact that it's going to be a difficult place to go. But the tables have flipped on their heads in terms of league position and probably form this season in all competitions. Everybody expected Liverpool to be up there with Man City at the beginning of the season. It's not worked out that way. Whereas United have got a very different mindset and a different attitude in going into games. So it's for a United fan, it's an exciting one, but always, there's always a chance of going there and being upset.
Danny, there seems to be a few areas in the pitch, one in midfield, where United have obviously improved enormously with Casemiro coming into the team. Fred's improved. Liverpool's has suffered in the middle of midfield. There's also the duel of, I think, Marcus Rashford up against Trent, because he's had trouble with Marcus before, getting behind him. So there's all these problems all over the pitch that, the team that comes out on top in this one has to solve.
Yeah, but 100%. I think, if you look at the last 5 games, both teams they're in similar form. I think they've won 3, drawn 1, lost 1. So individuals will matter. Individual moments always matter in these games, and who can perform at the top. I think, you mentioned Marcus there. His form's been unbelievable. And there has been times where Trent gets forward and Marcus looks to get him behind him. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg on that one. If you're Trent, do you go forward and leave that space, or do you sit? Which means you lose the attacking threat that Trent often provides. But not only that, I think what Erik ten Hag's done really well, he's been able to rotate players. I think when we started against Leeds, we were struggling against Leeds at times, and Marcus Rashford then went up top, and his running in behind was massive. Bruno Fernandes has operated sort of in attacking midfield, and then on the right hand side, Garnacho's come in. Weghorst has played his part in a very different way, not necessarily with being prolific, but in being physical, putting in a shift, and being a bit of a foil for the other boys around him. So yeah, there's different options which are, from a United point of view, you can't really say have been there over the past few years.
I think Weghorst has been such a good part of the squad, and he seems like the player who will work his socks off every single time and give it the best he can. And he seems like the player you want in your team as well. And I don't know if that's going a little bit underrated at the moment, but just his way and his enthusiasm towards all of the other players when they're performing, I think is just lovely to see. And also to get a cuddle off a 6'7" giant would be nice when you score a goal. Let's talk about the element of fatigue as well for Manchester United, and of course Liverpool today as well. But United, Danny, they've been going for it over the last few weeks. Of course they had Barcelona, and then the cup game as well. Do you think they'll be granted that element of grace if they were to drop points today? Not that I want that.
No, I don't think so. No, I think everybody's expecting United to take something from the game, and I don't think the manager will allow anybody any grace in terms of losing points. I think you only feel the fatigue when you lose a game or it goes against you a little bit, and at that point you're looking at who digs deep, and it gets tough out there. But I think one of the biggest things we've got in the squad at this moment in time is mentality. And with Casemiro, as you mentioned before, obviously like Martinez and people like that, they've brought a real grit to the team that when things aren't going our way, they pull it through. So no, I don't think anybody will looking at it, Shaban, at the moment thinking fatigue's a get out, if you see what I mean.
Danny, what did you make of the two managers speaking about some of the chanting by both sets of fans? I personally think that these clubs must have so much respect for each other. They've both gone through tragedy. They've both had an incredible comebacks and won league titles and FA Cups. There's so much that's, you can compare the two clubs of having success in English football.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good mark of respect, really, that both managers have spoken up on it and how important it is for this to remain about football. And yes, the rivalries between the two clubs, but it runs too deep when you start talking about the disasters when people have lost lives, and it's putting things back in perspective and asking people to focus on what is at hand, which is, a great rivalry on the pitch. So I think that the fact that he's spoken up about it is a massive plus, and hopefully everybody respects the sentiment.
I mean, I do think if you are a football fan and you head to a game and chant about the loss of lives and tragedies, there is something completely wrong with you, and it has to stop. And some people, when we have these conversations, there are groups of fans and even some people who work in the media saying football's gone soft, it's a changed place, you can't do anything anymore. But that's never been acceptable, and I find it refreshing that both managers of United and Liverpool have come together to say stop it, like cut that out, that, and also just what are you teaching the next generation? What are you teaching them by singing songs like that? So it is good to hear, and hopefully the message will get through this afternoon as well. Liverpool, in terms of injury news, have no new injury concerns, Danny. Manchester United defender Luke Shaw will be assessed because he missed the FA Cup win over West Ham because of an injury, and also Jadon Sancho unavailable in midweek because of illness. Do you see any changes happening to the squad today?
No, to be honest, I think it'll be, like you say there'll be one or two doubts, as in Luke Shaw and Jadon Sancho. But no, I think everybody's rolling, on a bit of a wave at this moment in time, and everybody's fit, and it's nice to be that way. And this is probably now the toughest ask, considering sort of 10 days ago we were looking at Barcelona, the final, the FA Cup game, and this was like the fourth game of 4 tough games, and this is where you're going to have to use your team and your squad, a little bit more. So, no, I think everybody's okay. There will be people carrying little knocks in both teams. It's inevitable. That's when you get to this part of the season, you're always playing with something. But it'll be exciting. Looking forward to it, really.
Yeah. Who do you think will come out on top, Danny?
Obviously, my heart tells me United. I'd say form, well, not just form. I think the table would tell me United, but I'd flip a coin on it, Tony. It's United. It's always Anfield. We've not scored there in years. It's a tough place to go. Liverpool's, it's their home. We've got to go there and be really, strong, resilient, and to take something from the game. So no, I'll show Liverpool and this game the most respect.
By the way, if Liverpool win today, they go up to 5th. They'll leapfrog Newcastle. How did that actually happen? It's changing so quickly. I've had a shot for every time I mentioned that this morning. It's just changed so quickly. Danny Webber, former United forward, thank you so much. Enjoy the game today, okay?
Great to speak to you,
Danny. Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful day, and don't forget the boot room with Alex Crook, Darren Ambrose and Adebayo Akinfenwa with you from 5 o'clock this evening. Of course, they're going to have the fallout of that game, Liverpool against Manchester United.